Skeleton Crew, Episode 4, now out. Let's talk about it. Okay, so the newest episode of Skeleton Crew is now out on Disney Plus for you guys to go and check out. And so far, I have really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I thought they have been a lot of fun, something different, something unique, something that we haven't seen in the Star Wars franchise for a while. Now, not the highest quality, not like Andor level quality, but a decent level where you're like, okay, this is interesting. So, naturally, I was actually feeling a bit excited to watch Skeleton Crew now. And I come into episode 4. To me, this is definitely the weakest episode of them all. And it kind of felt like a nothing episode. It's weird because everything that happened in this episode, it kind of doesn't really change anything for me moving forward or anything like that. I mean, we kind of already knew about the robot and how he is on their home planet. He is obviously being there. That's where they found him. So it's not like anything like mind-blowing or anything like that when we discover that, oh, he can actually override his memory. And he's like, oh, I remember that. I destroyed all this and that so that no one could get there to get the treasure. It's like nothing that we haven't already known. Now, what I liked about this episode, but I just don't think they executed it correctly, and that could be because, obviously, it's only like a 30-minute long episode, so you got to take that with a bit of a grain of salt as well, is the idea of them going to one of the other planets that is supposed to be like their planet, except this planet is in ruins. It's in a civil war by the looks of it, and things are just not peaceful. And when you have characters like these kids who come from a world where all they've known is peace, and it's symbolized in a conversation with Neil and one of the girls who are part of the rebel forces there, where they're having a conversation and Neil's explaining his biggest moment in a fight, which was against his brother, because his brother, upset him, took something and that. And there you just see the difference between these two kids. One is growing up in a war-torn world, and the other one is growing up in paradise. So I think the idea of having them on this planet and then interacting with these characters who know nothing but war, I think is a great concept. However, I just don't think this episode flushed it out at all, except for that one conversation there. And obviously the girl is feeling, towards Neil, is feeling like, okay, this is a kid that needs help overcoming what he's about to encounter on my planet. Obviously, he's come from nothing but peace, so I need to show him the ropes, and I need to make sure that he's okay. And then, obviously, when we get introduced to the rebel forces, they're kind of like, it's weird. We don't actually see them fight the other people. We see the other people with the tank and that go by, and that's all you see of them in this episode. And then we have this, the rebel group there. The dad's like, oh, I'm going to train you. You guys have to prove that you're worthy, because here we treat the children like adults. And I was sitting there, I was like, okay. Right, okay, this is just... What's going on, man? This just is not moving the plot along. It's not developing anything. Then we have the characters, the kids start shooting stuff, and I'm like, okay. And then they're like, okay, you guys are going to lead us out to battle. So they're entrusting to go to bat. Like, this is the logic. This is what I was hoping it wasn't going to do. But the logic here of them getting the unknown people from a different world to lead them into battle against a force they've been fighting for so long, just so that they can show their worth. I was kind of like, okay, this is just... Why are we doing this? Why? Come on, like, can we be a bit different? Like, it felt like... I know, it felt very, like, low quality, PG, let's just pump this out storytelling. And I'm kind of like, oh. I mean, the other 3 episodes are a lot better when it comes to the story and the writing and that, but this episode kind of took a dip down. And then obviously we have Crimson Jack pays off the people for the thing there. I mean, so there's no fight. And then he's like, I'll take all them. And then they go to the scripture place, the tower. And this is where they find out that on every single tower, there is a thing on all the things about the other planets and their coordinates. And the one that they need, ironically, has been destroyed by the robot when he was previously there. And this is where the robot then turns on them and is like, I'm going to rip you all to shreds, piece by piece, limb by limb. And that's really all happens. That's what happens. So they don't have the coordinates for where they're going. And yeah, so we're still in the same boat. I just think having this be 30 minutes long, I just don't feel like it. When you're visiting a planet like this, I feel like having it for 30 minutes is not enough. It's not enough time to actually explore and develop this other world. It's kind of right here, done, dusted, move on to the next bit. And no consequences, no stakes. I didn't really feel like they were in trouble or anything like that. Where I think if they were there and then they actually saw a bit of the fighting going on and stuff like that, I think then that adds a little bit more of the actual realism of that world that we are currently in. And then seeing how they interact with that. I feel like this episode could have really flushed it out a lot more. I really feel like it could have. And I just don't think they did. So, for me, episode 4 was underwhelming. I'm going to say it. And look, I'm still not going to say this show is going to take a nosedive and completely be awful by the end of it. Mate, there's plenty of shows out there that have started off brilliantly, have 1 or 2 episodes in the middle where it's just like, oh, what's going on here? And then the back end, it's like high quality and you're just like, okay, we picked back up here. Plenty of shows have done that. This could be one of those shows. This just kind of felt like, a filler episode. That's what this episode really felt like. It was kind of like, I reckon if I took this out, you could, I don't need to go to this planet to understand this. They already told us that the planet had already been, destroyed and all that stuff, and there was only one planet left. Like, we already knew all this information. So it's nothing new when they go there. But I feel like if you flushed out and we learned the backstory to why the collapse happened, maybe we might find out later on, moving forward. There's a potential that could. So I'd reserve judgment for that. But I feel like this episode was the perfect time to explain a little bit of that and showcase a little bit of that planet. Even just like a quick flashback at the start of this planet falling. I don't know, something like that, just to add that little bit of extra depth for us, I think could have elevated this one a lot more. But nonetheless, for me, underwhelming. But it's not going to stray me from watching the show. It's still 3-1. 3 solid episodes to 1 underwhelming. So we're still on the right track. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys loved it. And if you guys did, let me know in the comment section below. And that's awesome if you did. For me, underwhelming. So, yeah. See you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.